So, welcome to the Globalrebitcoin podcast. And today I'm joined by Ali. We're talking real estate today. Real estate, and it's real and it's estate. Um, and Canada. We have our asset backed cryptocurrency that we're launching very soon. I wanted to ask you what holds urban expansion there? And I'm thinking particularly Toronto that extends all that industrial wasteland out to Mississauga. And is it young? Is it the longest street in Canada, or is it in North America, extending up to the lakes there? What is it that sets the boundary on Toronto?
So Toronto has been growing like gangbusters over the last little while. So Toronto goes as far east as I think what we are looking at is as far east as Oshawa, where there's a lot of industrial land where the old auto industry used to be, which there are a lot of opportunities there. And we're looking as far west as Burlington and Hamilton now, because it's just growing. It's been on growth mode over the past, I want to say, 15 years. Toronto has become the financial center of Canada, and the lucky recipient of a lot of direct foreign investments. So that caused city boundaries to grow a little bit. So yeah, it's far beyond Mississauga these days.
Right. Is Mississauga there? Is it its own municipality? Does it break off?
So Mississauga is a city, yes. So okay. Toronto ends at Mississauga. The Greater Toronto Area ends at Mississauga. So Toronto is now the GTA Greater Toronto Area is comprised of the old city of Toronto, which is like the downtown core. Scarborough is now annexed to it to the east. We got Etobicoke to the west, which ends at Mississauga, and then the York region, going all the way up to Richmond Hill, now is part of Greater Toronto Area.
Right. When you look at the commercial residential split here, and I think we're particularly thinking in the downtown enclave there. What are properties that you look for, and can they be combined, residential and commercial zoning, in attractive properties for GRB Capital?
Mm-hmm. So we're looking at all various type of asset classes. I think if you're to look at if you want to with respect to investments, if you want to categorize and prioritize asset classes, I think one of the most sought after asset classes are actually residential apartment buildings in good areas. The reason for that is the excellent diversification that building itself will give you. You're not dependent on one large company taking 3 floors of your building. You have, smaller units rented out at, $2,000, $2,500. So you're within the same asset class. You're fully diversified.
Right.
The problem with those, not the problem, the downfall, the price to pay for this diversification is the low yields that we get. So that's definitely an asset class that we are going to look to put in our portfolio, depending on the amount of money at any given time we have to place. So that would be our number one priority, to put probably 35-40% of our asset class in that very secure, very diverse asset class. The next best asset class for us to get are industrial properties within industrial parks in and around GTA. Those are multi-tenanted. They're cheaper to maintain than that big office building. So those are, and they historically have had higher yields. You're looking at 7-8%, depending on your tenants. So those are definitely attractive because of their high yields, because we do need to have certain level of profitability within our system for return to our investors.
Why are the yields lower on the residential properties there? Can I just butt in?
Sure. It's a function of price and demand, right? Supply and demand. So if I own a building and I sell it for $1 million, somebody says in a buyer's mind it's worth more, so that drives the yield down. When there's more people buying your building at a higher price, and there's only a certain amount of rent you can charge, and that just effectively drives your yield down. The only good thing about, or the only other saving grace with the apartment buildings is that we can leverage that through our contacts through a program that we have with the government here It's CMHC insured. Canada Mortgage Housing Corporation insures those mortgages, so we can leverage them a little bit more than, let's say, an industrial park that you would always have. Again, because of its safe income, because of its diversification, the government is happy to insure any mortgages placed on them above a certain amount of loan to value.
Right.
Third class of assets that we're definitely looking at are going to be mixed use, right? And a lot of our development projects that we look at are going to be mixed use in nature, where we have, some sort of retail on the ground floor or office in the first few floors and a residential on top. Those will when we look at those, we'll partner up with some builders, look at projects, and those are going to be strictly in downtown core, just to ensure the viability of the project in the next 3-4 years that it's going to get built. But those are definitely an interesting asset class for us.
Wow. Yep. Yeah. Going back there to foreign investment in Canada and what's really generating this enormous interest in the Toronto real estate market and in other parts of the country. Now, it's true. Is it true that BC? I think they put a 15% stamp duty on all foreign-owned or foreign purchases in Vancouver. Are there other barriers to investing in Toronto real estate if you're not a Canadian citizen?
So the barriers are for residency. So a non-residents, Toronto followed suit after extremely hot market that we had. That's borderline a bubble.
Right.
So they followed suit with what BC did and imposed a non-resident tax, acquisition tax, when a non-resident purchases residential property. So that's there. Unfortunately, we have the same tax, and that cooled the market down a little bit, but not by much.
What was that tax? Do you know?
I think the same 15%.
15%, right? Wow.
Yeah, but it's only applicable to single home residential units.
Okay.
So a non-resident can still purchase a commercial building without paying the speculation tax. The idea is, the policy behind it is they want to make sure a Canadian family still can afford a home, but they're gonna let markets dictate what happens in a commercial world, which I do tend to agree with.
Sure. Yeah.
But aside from that, it wasn't a market, or it wasn't the growth in the market that I think attracted the foreign money. I think it's the stability more than anything else. It's hard to find anywhere in the world right now with a proper legal system where you can be, rely on the rule of law, a mature banking system that also has some sort of market stability. US has its own issues. Europe has had its own issues. Anywhere else where there's any real growth, you can't trust the legal system. And investors can't trust the banking system. Like, what if I put my money there and the bank all of a sudden just decides to either denationalize the bank? Bank said, sorry, I ran out of money. So Canada has become this safe haven, this safe place for a lot of money from, used to be India, then it became China. Now we see a lot of money coming from Taiwan, Vietnam. So a lot of these monies that are made anywhere in the world somehow, luckily for us, find its way to Canada for all these reasons. That gives and also that helps grow the Canadian economy and increase more demand for what we're trying to do. To invest in real estate, and we think this trend is going to continue. We don't see anybody else trying to take Canada's spot as the favorite investment spot in the world, because looking at the outlook in the next few years, I don't see any of the competitors.
Yep. Is that now we've talked about Toronto because that's a specific region of interest for us at GRB Capital, but there's BC and there's Montreal. And apart from those three population centres, is there anything hot in the Canadian property market? Anything further out west there?
So we're keeping a close eye on Calgary. Calgary and Edmonton in Alberta, one of the western provinces here in Canada. So Calgary and Alberta, the Alberta province was, I think, one of the more successful provinces because it's a very oil-driven economy. When the oil prices were at historical highs, Calgary was booming.
Yep.
Edmonton was booming. Now, with the downturn in the price of oil, there was a downturn in the economy there. A lot of companies shut down or shrunk their operations. So that resulted in a bit of a recession in the industrial space and in the office building space there. So we're taking a close look. There are good deals to be had there, but we want to make sure we go in at the right time in the market. We want to make sure that the bottom is hit and there's an upward trend, and then we can jump in. But we're monitoring that closely. I think Calgary would be very interesting in the near future, because I think the price of oil could, I don't think it's stabilized now. If it goes higher, better. But even in a stabilized market finds itself, and then we can go on with the growth.
Yep. So we might be heading out to the Stampede later in the year, hey?
We are going to have to, Dave.
Sounds good.
We're old school. You have to touch your investments. You got to go touch it. So we have to go there and Stampede, find out exactly what we're doing.
Think what the locals are thinking. Yeah. Is that September sometime?
No, it's during the summer.
Right.
I think August.
August. Okay.
So make sure your passport's ready to go.
Sounds fun. Yeah. Well, look, I had one question, and this is about the not really real estate, but again another sort of icon of Canadian culture, and that's the Mounties, man. And I wondered, is there an S&M culture amongst these guys, amongst the Canadian Mountie fraternity? I'm just saying, big boots, black tights. One could be forgiven for thinking,
I agree with you, except for the red jackets. It just completely throws everything off. But maybe they're a little kinkier than you and I give them credit for.
So we'll take that as a definite maybe, hey?
It's a definite maybe. But next time I come across one, I'll definitely pose the question. If I get arrested, you're bailing me out.
Oh yeah, sure. Yeah, no worries. Hey, Ali, nice talking to you. And let's sign off on this version of the podcast.